Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the One Pot Wonder. We are into our second session in class 3 today, and I'd just like to say welcome. First off, I want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. We've been very graciously supported by the Lethbridge Foundation and from the co-op. The co-op has supported us greatly in making sure that we have all the food that we need. And we have the community church, it's the old Baptist church. It's now the Country Creek Community Church. They have donated their kitchen to us, which we're very, very grateful for. And we have the food center that has also supported us and are very gracious to offer the service that they have. So great big thanks to all of you. Just an update for COVID. We are blessed to be free of any COVID active cases at the moment, which is wonderful. It's really good to see our community being active and being diligent about safety first. So that's wonderful to see. So let's get right into what we're doing today. And so today we're going to be making a classic easy lasagna. So with your bag, you're going to find a recipe. So in your recipe, there is a white sauce that is being offered that you can use in lieu of a cottage cheese. So if you have, I'm not providing the supplies for cottage cheese because a lot of people don't care for cottage cheese and then it just goes to waste. So we've eliminated that part of the lasagna. So we're just going to improvise a little bit with the recipe, but you'll notice that when you get it. So it's basically just going to be like we've got the meat and onions and garlic and the tomato sauce, and we have the oven ready lasagna that I'll show you how to use. And yeah, then we'll make just a very basic lasagna. And so I'm going to get the hamburger onto the stove and get that cooking, and I'll meet you over there. All right, so we've got our hamburger on to just brown it, and you should have a lean hamburger in your food bag. So you shouldn't have a whole lot of grease afterwards, but if you find that it's a little bit too liquidy and there is grease in your burger, then just kind of drain that off afterwards so that your lasagna doesn't have that greasy, fatty taste. So to add to the hamburger, we're gonna let that brown, and we're gonna add onions and garlic to this meat, just to add extra flavor while it's browning. Some people like to cook the garlic and the onions before the meat, which you can certainly do. There's no kind of rhyme or order to that. I like to cook it all together in one because it gives more time for the cooking to add the extra flavor in the meat. So I wanted to, I'll throw in these onions first, and then I wanted to chat with you about powdered garlic versus raw garlic. And when I say raw garlic or bulb garlic, you should have in your package, you're gonna get some bulb garlic. And so I just wanted to explain to you how you can open these. There's several ways you can do it. You can just take off your ends just very slightly on each end, and then you can just roll it on your counter and squish it this way. You can put it in a covered dish and just shake it because it will take off the skin. So, and then you just need probably gonna need about 3 of these garlics to match about 1.5 teaspoons of garlic. So But this is a much nicer flavor when you're working with the bulb. But you definitely don't need the whole thing unless you really like a lot of garlic. So, but that's a personal choice. If you want to, that's great. So I've pre-cut this garlic up, and it's just in small little, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's just in small little chunks. And so I'm gonna put that in. And we're gonna let this brown. Okay, so now we have the hamburger and the onions and garlic browned, and the onions are cooked. And I'm gonna add in some Italian seasoning that you will have in your bags, your food bag. And you probably got some, I think in the last session, wasn't it, Kayla? You got some oregano or some rosemary. You can also use that as well if you'd like. This Italian is to, of course, we're making pasta, so you want that Italian flavor. So you're gonna need probably about 2 teaspoons of this. Now keep in mind that this is a recipe for about 4 people. And you can make it stronger if you like. Again, it's to the taste buds of what you, if you've never made lasagna, I recommend that you kind of follow along the recipe as best you can, just because then you're going to make sure that you get your pasta, the Italian flavoring. So I have the tomato sauce and some tomato paste, and I just want to show you the consistency of what you're going to need, because you're going to make this into layers with your lasagna noodles. And so you're gonna, it's almost like you're gonna make a spaghetti sauce, but it's not gonna be really runny. But you do need it a little runnier than this for sure, because you want it all to cover your noodles. Because today we're using oven baked noodles. We're not using the ones that you need to boil. You don't have to cook your noodles in your that you're being sent with your food bag at all. They are oven ready is what they call them. So now I'm gonna just put in a little bit of tomato paste. I don't like to use a huge amount, but we're gonna put in about a half of a can. And then I'm gonna add, it doesn't call for this for water, but I'm gonna add a little bit because of the tomato paste. Just to kind of give it a little bit runnier. I kind of improvise quite a bit through my cooking, so if you want to follow along with exactly the recipe, please feel free to do so. So we have that. So this is a really good, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's runny, but it's not overly so. But I am going to throw in just a little touch more of the Italian spice because we added the extra tomato paste. So we want it to have not that acidy, tomatoey flavor. Of course, it's going to be tomatoey, but sometimes it can be very strong and you don't want that. So, okay, so now I'm going to take this over to the other counter so that we can start to build the lasagna. Okay, so I've gone ahead and taste tested this sauce just to make sure that it's not really like acidy, the tomato tartness. And this is because of the tomato paste. So to kind of offset that, I just usually take a little bit of sugar. You don't have to use a lot. I would take about just a little less than a teaspoon and just add that to your sauce, and that will help it tremendously to kind of just get rid of that little bit of a bite. Yeah, so I wanted to chat with you about these noodles. Now, you don't need to boil these noodles at all. As we're going into the layering of the lasagna, of course, because we're using a pan that's not really going to fit this, I'm going to have to break these noodles up a bit. So as you're layering it, we're going to layer it with all of this and with the cheese. And then it takes approximately about 45 minutes to an hour for cooking, but you need to be sure that you're covering your noodles with your sauce, because that's how your noodles are going to cook, right? So, so if we just make sure that when you start, that you put just enough sauce to just lightly cover the bottom of your pan, so that way your noodles aren't going to stick to the bottom. And so we're going to put just enough to kind of cover it. And then we're going to start to break up these noodles. So if you put in about, I don't know, about that much. Oh, I cut it a little short, but that's okay. We can just break it off and add to it. And so we're just gonna put them side by side. And I would keep all your breakage just as a filler, so when you're doing each of your layers, then you have room to make a filler. So you see, like, you could just put it in there like that, because you're not gonna notice the difference. It's not Martha Stewart here, but and so there's your first layer. And then we're gonna take some sauce again and just lightly cover the noodles. So like you said, you just need to make sure that you're covering them completely with some sense of sauce. And doesn't have to be drowning in it, just enough to cover. Because as you're layering, of course, your sauce is gonna fall down in between and it'll go throughout your noodles anyway. And then we're gonna take a layer of cheese and just give it some, little bit of extra there. Now, if you decide, like with lasagna, you can make it with seafood. You don't have to use hamburger. You can make it with chicken and use a white sauce, like an Alfredo sauce with it. You can use vegetables. You can just use your fillers in between your pasta with whatever you choose. So you can, and I always like to just add a little bit of the Parmesan cheese that is also in your package, just as a added extra flavor. So we're gonna continue on again to the next layer, and you just keep, you can do it crossways if you want, you can do it the other way, just to kind of give it an extra stability. And then you can just use a filler. Actually, I might even be able to use the whole thing. No, not quite. So there's another filler. And then we do the same thing all over again. So you're just gonna continue to layer. Oops, so let's do this. You're just gonna continue to layer your, your pasta with your sauce. And the other thing actually I was gonna mention to you is you can also use like a spinach or cottage cheese as one layer. You can use a seafood and mushrooms or whatever on the next layer. You can use chicken. Like it's just, it's yummy every way you look at it. And so we'll put this one. And then we're gonna start again. All right, so now we're gonna go into our last layer, because of course we've run out of sauce, but so we have 3 layers in here. This will be our 4th. And we're gonna just put the top layer on. And Actually, I'll just cut this back a bit. Okay, let's go this way. So we're gonna just cut it, just break it in half. So this layer is going to be only cheese and Parmesan. So take the remaining of the cheese and just make sure that we cover all of the lasagna. And as I said, if you put your oven to about, I would start it at around 375, 350. I would even maybe go 375 or 400, just to kind of have the cooking process. Now you're gonna wanna check this frequently to make sure that your noodles are cooking the way they should. Now, it doesn't call for on your lasagna noodle box. It does not call for you to add a little extra water to it. I do, just because then I'm certain that the noodles are gonna be cooked and they're not going to be crunchy. So I put the Parmesan on top as the last ingredient, and that will give it kind of like a little bit of almost a pizza topping, like a crustier texture. So with the water, I wouldn't put the water all over the top of your lasagna. Just run it along your edges as a little extra. And this, I've got about a half a cup of water here. So I'm not using a whole bunch, but it's enough that it's gonna help to cook the noodles more. And yeah, so we're gonna throw this in the oven and let it cook for about 45 minutes and it should be ready. Okay, so now while the lasagna is cooking, I just wanted to make mentions. If by chance that you don't have an oven, you can make a stovetop lasagna. You do exactly the same thing that we just demonstrated in the video, except that you're gonna do it on stovetop for cooking. So you're gonna wanna very frequently check your lasagna, and you will take a flat, what's it called? You're gonna take a flat utensil that you would use for flipping eggs.
A flipper.
A flipper. My mind went blank. So you're gonna take that flipper and you're gonna just really lightly go along your edges and make sure that it's not burning on the bottom of your pot. But if you do it on, I would say just a little less than medium, and monitor it very closely, you can provide the same product or the same recipe. It just probably won't have like a crusty top, but your cheese will melt the same, your noodles will cook. So yeah, just wanted to mention that because sometimes our ovens get broken and we want to try a recipe. So while we're waiting for this lasagna to cook, also in your food bag, you're gonna have a loaf of bread, but you have the pre-made garlic bread. So it already has your butter on it. And you can just either eat that without the broiler and cooking it like a toast, or you can put it in your oven, just open it up and put it in your oven on broil, but be very careful, watch it closely because it'll only take maybe 4 or 5 minutes maximum, even less probably. So monitor that closely. But with this loaf here, I just wanted to show you with the garlic butter. So all you really need to do is just have some butter or margarine and some garlic powder. You can use the bulb garlic as well, chopping it up the same as we just did for the meat. I'm going to demonstrate with the powder today, and that's lots of garlic. It's going to be very garlicky, and that's what you want. So you just take the time to mix it all up, cut your bread up, and spread it onto your inside of your loaf, and you can throw it in the broiler, and yeah, then you got some nice garlic toast to eat with your lasagna. Okay, our creation is done for the day. This is your lasagna. And your garlic toast. I was going to say French toast. Anyway, I hope that you really enjoy it. You can't really go wrong with a lasagna. It's very easy to make. You can improvise it to your flavors that you like. And just hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.